This video is about my book titled as Quantum Gravitational Hooking Paradigm to Resolve Einstein's Relativity Paradoxes. Based on my assessment, the paradoxes of Einstein's special relativity and general relativity fall into two categories, well-known and willfully ignored. The well-known paradox is the twin paradox, and the willfully ignored paradoxes are the space-time nature paradox and space-time curvature instantaneity paradox. To this day, for some, the twin paradox is resolved, for others, it's not. Based on my analysis, the root cause of the twin paradox comes directly from the inherent conflict between the inertial and non-inertial frame concepts, which become even more acute in Einstein's special relativity. These classical concepts are pure human observed concepts. Therefore, they are imperfect and cannot accurately reflect the quantum world. My potential discovery shows that there exists a quantum alternative to these classical concepts of inertial and non-inertial frame concepts. This quantum alternative is the set of primary and secondary quantum gravitational hooking frames. Reason for being of primary and secondary quantum gravitational hooking frames. First off, everyone can recognize that photons and atoms in atomic clocks do not care about classical inertial and non-inertial frames. They don't have brains to do such analyses to behave accordingly. My potential discovery shows that when an object moves, its host gravitational field and the surrounding ones can either coact with or counteract each other. They become either strong or weak, hence the primary and secondary quantum gravitational hooking frames for the moving objects. Sagnac and Hefele-Keeling experiments. In the Sagnac experiment, the spawn gravitational field of the rotating platform of the device becomes the primary quantum gravitational hooking frame of the moving photons. It counteracts the gravitational field of the Earth. In the Hefele-Keeling experiment, the spawn gravitational field of the plane becomes the primary quantum gravitational hooking frame of the oscillating atoms in the plane's atomic clocks. It coacts with the gravitational field of the Earth. The book will explain in detail how the two experiments exhibit opposite quantum behaviors. What is space-time nature paradox? Based on my research finding, Einstein's spacetime is claimed to be a physical entity, but at the same time not composed of material. So what is the thing that can be warped without being made of material? This is no doubt a major paradox in physics, is it not? Space-time is also claimed to fill the universe itself. Basically, general relativity denies the existence of the controversial ether, but its substitute, space-time, is riddled with paradoxes. It's clearly a case of what's pushed out the door come back through the window. Gravitational fields from sub-elementary particles versus space-time. Based on my research findings, massive objects must generate gravitational fields around them in the form of lines of force, similar to electricity and magnetism. Gravitational field lines of force must be constituted of quantum gravitational axons, which in turn are made of sub-elementary particles with hooking function named precursors. These precursors come from the nucleons and leptons that make up each massive object. Also, based on my research findings, this material-based gravitational field claim restores the concept of gravity as a force, similar to electricity and magnetism. It logically rejects the concept of gravity as a curvature of space-time, which is paradoxically claimed to be a physical thing without being made of matter. This material-based gravitational field claim also leads to the potential unification of gravity, electricity, and magnetism. Spacetime curvature instantaneity paradox. Einstein's spacetime curvature has to be physically an instantaneous effect of spacetime warping by mass or energy in order to explain the firm preservation of all cosmic structures while the capital objects constantly move and the captive are at the superluminal distance away from them. On the other hand, Einstein's special relativity forbids instantaneity as it claims that the speed of light is the universal speed limit for all things, including gravitational effects between objects. This instantaneity paradox of spacetime curvature is completely ignored by relativity physicists. Orbital motion quantization mechanism versus spacetime curvature. Based on the researcher findings, OMQM works solely through quantum calculation and communication between celestial objects. That is, a capital celestial object uses OMQM to find a specific orbital frequency, which automatically leads to the determination of the orbital velocity, radius, and period, along with the perihelion precession for each of its captive celestial objects. The proposed OMQM is a complete quantum mechanism. My research findings have yielded several equations of the orbital motion quantization mechanism as presented here. The equations of the orbital motion quantization mechanism have been verified with an extensive set of observed astronomical data from the solar system and beyond. The quantum orbital calculation information is theorized to be propagated between capital and its captives at superluminal speeds, that is, square and cube values of speed of light, using a theoretical sub-elementary particle inherent to nucleons and leptons named Planck stars. The OMQM explains the orbital motion of celestial objects, offering an alternative to spacetime curvature without its key paradox, instantaneous physical entity and yet not made of matter.